welcome to the Q&A session for the film Fear of Missing Out. We're here with Attila Hartung, director of the film, and Petra Ivani, producer. So I would like to start with Attila. Attila, you're very young and you have directed already a series of short films, and this is your first feature film, is that correct? Yeah. And how did you start filmmaking?
Thank you for being here and thank you for the question. First of all, I studied painting in the secondary school, and after that I admitted the Theatre and Film Academy in Budapest, and my faculty was film directing, and my masters were János Szász and Ildikó Enyedi. And in the school we shot a lot of short movies.
Yes.
Which was very good for us, and we won some awards in the world with these short films. And after that, after the school, when we finished with the cinematographer and other classes, Petra and I applied to the incubator program in Budapest, which is a low-budget feature film program for no films directors, and we won, and we could shoot our first feature film, which is the FOMO.
The FOMO. And so you were at school together, Petra? Were you at school with?
No, actually, I studied social sciences, sociology, and when they did their diploma films at the university, the university searched for some mentors from the industry who are kind of a bridge between the school and real life, or how to say. And actually that was me, that was our company for their group. And so we did the diploma film first together, and then some sympathy came. And that's how we started to work together, and that's how we applied for this first or debut film Forum, the incubator that Attila mentioned.
Okay.
That's it.
Great. And obviously this is a very intriguing first film, and I found interesting that it's done by someone who's literally just one generation ahead of the characters of the films, basically, because you're quite close. How did the whole idea, is this your personal experience? How did the whole idea come together? And also in terms of production, did you, Petra, receive the script? Did you find it interesting and decided to produce it? How did it all start?
No, shall you? So basically the thing is that from the very first step we worked together. So when they wrote the first treatment and synopsis, and it was really pretty far away from the story that we have at the end, I was already there. So it's not like, okay, here is a shocking script, do I want to take it on or not? Because we developed it together. So the basic idea was Attila wanted to go deep into the issues of taking responsibility, and on the other hand, take it with in a surrounding that is really close to him, that he knows very well, which I really liked, because I think it can be a huge failure when somebody who is a first-time director wants to direct about an era, an age, history that he or she doesn't know. And I really like the idea that he wants to capture something that he knows very well.
And the root of the story was one word, the responsibility or non-responsibility. And we wrote the script with Ivon Kerékgyártó, who is a screenplayer.
Yes.
And the film story is came from a lot of stories in the nightlife of Budapest.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a student or when I was a teenager, I saw a lot of house parties and a lot of interesting and strange teenagers and details of the night games and drinking games. And the story's huge part came from these situations. And when we wrote the script with Yvonne, she had a lot of other situations and stories about this nightlife and the Budapest, and we put it together, these elements, and wrote the story.
That's great. You can tell it's felt. You can tell that you know a lot about what's going on, and it feels very, very real. This is a difficult story to tell, obviously. Was it easy to finance? Was it easy to show it to the audience at home and abroad? Has it been well received? So two questions maybe. Let's talk about the finance side first, and then we'll go into how it has been received.
Yeah. Well, basically the 99% of the financing is the state fund and this debut film forum, and so the lucky thing is that in this forum or application, we have a way wider, bigger freedom of topics and of interpretation. So I wouldn't be so sure that on a normal public funding application this story would have gone through as easy as it did on this first filmmaker thingy. But it went pretty well. We had some issues with the film fund because obviously they were afraid of the story. They were afraid if we're gonna if we're gonna blame the girl, for example, of course, and then they really wanted to make sure that the message is clear, which of course we could cope with. And on the other hand, you know, it's how big your dreams are regarding financing. We didn't have big dreams. We really wanted to make this movie, so we made it really pretty low budget.
Yeah.
And so I would say that more it was a lot of sweat equity, if we can call it like that. You know, like a lot of friends and relatives and whatnot came to help us to shoot the movie, like all the crowd scenes. There are many of our friends in the crowd dancing and cheering, and of course the crew who worked for a very low rate and stuff like that.
But it does look very professional though. So you did manage to give the idea of a very accomplished film. So the second question is, because it's such a difficult story, how has it been received in terms of at home, abroad? Is it been easy to distribute? Have you found distribution? What's the story there?
Well, I would say that here in Hungary, we kind of made the impact that we wanted to make. I don't say it's a blockbuster in the Hungarian cinemas, but it's been in the cinemas for many months. And then now it's on the HBO, which we are very happy with it. And so we made sure that we meet our audience a lot, so we get their face-to-face reactions on the movie. And we had a lot of cinema screenings before the COVID, where we met with our audience, and where, of course, especially Attila got some really unfriendly comments as well. But I would say that when people open up, of course, they are full of feelings and frustration. But if we talk to them, they even that little percent who doesn't get it for the first catch, they start to understand why. For example, why we didn't take the viewpoint of the girl, but we work with the predator.
With Georg, with Gergo, yes. So let's go into the content of the film now, because you convey a complex idea of bad kids with a very twisted moral code. So they rape girls, they bully homeless, are racist, but at the same time, they're very fragile and prone to peer pressure. So, and then on top of that, you have this explosive combo, and then you add the vicious power of social media, which brings cyberbullying to the extreme. So what is your idea of young people today? What do you think about the youth that you're experiencing? And you have a very close look because it's just a generation after you. So what's your idea of them, and how do you see the social media impacting on them?
In my opinion, the social media isn't a wrong device to the teenagers, but they have to learn to use the platforms for good intentions and purposes. I think, in my opinion, the worst part of our story is not the cyberbullying. Is the worst is the rape, of course, and because it's a situation in the real life, and the characters don't feel responsibility and regret because it's fun and they have no limits. And if the community on the internet don't say no, just watch the uploading videos, the characters feel pride and glory. And Petra, please have a little bit. What do you think?
So if the question focused a little bit more, I think, on how the social media also impacts on our or his generation, because actually I'm a bit older. I wouldn't say that each generation is more evil or more cruel than the other, but that's pretty true that without having the personal situation on the social media, the limits can go way higher. And of course, we brought the title of the movie from these effects, like fear of missing out, that you constantly check your friends, check everybody. Why am I not nicer, bigger, smaller, richer, whatnot? And I think this affects our characters as well. Also the girl who doesn't want to be missed out, who wants to play on the game and who doesn't feel the limit, that okay, maybe here I should say no, because if I say no, then I'll be out of the party. There will be another girl, there will be someone who's braver, and so on. And also, of course, it's true for the boys. They always have to show something bigger, something more, to keep the level of their audience, to show them something more extreme, something more new, to make themselves interesting. Because the news and the content that we follow is not the great thing. It's always the extreme.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got these very complex characters. So let's speak about Gergo. he's a bad kid in a way, because he does all the things that we mentioned above, but then he kind of pushes it to the limit and stops and starts thinking of what he's done. So he has somehow the resources to react to the evil that he has done to the girl, and eventually he breaks up with the gang and he apologizes to the victim. So is he bad? Is he good? Do you forgive him?
No, I don't forgive Gerger. The rape is unforgivable and cannot be undone. So my reason of the ending was complicated. I wanted to see a dialogue with the girl and Gerger in the end, when the girl said on the bridge, "It cannot be no-filled." That was a really very important sentence for me, and this sentence explain how I feel, or how feel Lila in this situation, and that was the one of the most sentence in the film. And secondly, I would like to tell a story about responsibility or non-responsibility, because I, or my generation, or the next generation, the teenagers in my country, doing stuffs without responsibility many times, and I think there is no consequences of deeds in this country many times.
That's very true everywhere, unfortunately. Very, very true. And yes, when you say that line that she says, "This cannot be undone," her conversation with Gergo is pivotal. I mean, it's very it's highlighted. It's very important to the understanding of the rest of the film. So my next question is, the film is partially shot like a social media video. To me, this has somehow the power of enhancing the sense of an ever present social media dimension, that, as well as shaping the kids' lives, grabs the audience and makes it part of the story. What was your idea behind using this tool, this trick?
We shot the film with many amateurs. Teenagers are amateurs, and I would like to set a home-like situations and real realism situations, and the amateur characters or actors or actress, they made a lot of, or make a lot of videos with mobile at home or in the house parties many times, and they felt this situation with mobile, and they felt these scenes like a real life scene, and we had to work with many improvisation with these characters because we have a phone and a phone recording camera, and I wanted to stay close in these situations, and made real situations with these characters with real dialogues, and I didn't want to idealize these characters, of course, because they are sinners and they made a lot of terrible things, and I think the best way to this, when we shot with iPhones or mobile phones, because it's dirty and it's real.
Yeah, that's very true. I love the scene when finally someone slaps them on the face, you know, and tell them stop. It's so cathartic. You're like, yes, finally. So it really tells them off, because you have the feeling that no one stops them, that everything's acceptable. It's and that scene where the passerby says, you know, what are you doing, guys? It's really cathartic. That's a gift to the audience, a bit of relief. So a question for both of you. So the actors, how did you cast them and how did you work with them? Because obviously their roles, especially for Lila, it's quite like to be the victim of a rape. How did she cope with it? How did you work with her to make this an acceptable scene? Was it hard to show that and to make such young actors interpret those roles?
Yeah.
Okay. So shortly about the casting, we actually casted the youngsters for about a year or even more. Of course, we put our ad in every Facebook page and schools, and we went to these drama afternoons and whatnot all around the country. And of course, a lot of friends from filmmaker friends and not filmmaker friends knew that we are looking for this and that type of characters. We shot a short film first with Lila Gergő and so on. Somebody we lost from that group because we felt that he or she didn't work that well in front of the camera. And so we, of course, within this time frame, we spent a lot of time with them, and we step by step let them know what the story is going to be about. And of course, we met their parents. We told everyone what we are going to shoot, and it was also a good test to see more of the kid, because when the parent understands and can talk about these issues, then you can more rely on, like, the kid will also understand. Mm-hmm. And so by the time we got to shoot, for example, the rape scene, the girl and the boy who played Gergő and Lila, they knew each other for more than a year, and they really respected each other. They really know each other. So the funny thing is that we shot all these four guys. They are very, very respectful, well behaving kids. Like every time we shot a cruel scene, they went to the other party, for example, the Roma lady, and they begged her pardon for hours. Like, we are really sorry. And so I should say, like, Lila and Gergő met so many times, sorry to say, but played this situation between them so many times. So anytime on an audience Q&A, they ask the actress Lila, how did it feel? She always says, by the time she was shooting it, it really didn't feel like anything.
She was well prepared to do that psychologically also, yeah. Okay, so, and my last question, are you working on anything else? What are your next projects separately, or even if you're working on something new together, what should we be looking for?
Yeah, we would like to work each other with Petra and many.
That's a misunderstandable. Like, work each other. You shouldn't say that. Let's yeah.
and many other crew members, because it was the FOMO crew was very cool and great. And now Yvonne, who was the screenplayers to the FOMO, we write 2 new scripts these days, and yes, and Petra.
Yeah, so basically we are developing a smaller project in sense of budget and time of development, because it's a one table story, and it's we hope that we can realize it next year. And then also at the same time, parallelly, we develop a huge project which will take much more time in every sense. So so yeah, it's and we try to keep the creative team together and develop together and grow together, and yeah.
That's great. So thank you very much for sparing the time to have a chat about this amazing film. I really hope the audience will understand it and like it. But I wish you every luck for your future projects. And I hope we're gonna see more of your stuff, Attila, soon. So best of luck and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.